Hanse Kia Wow. Good day, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today on this virtual town hall. My name is Cassidy Karen. I am Métis. My families are the Karen and Boucher families from St. Louis and Batoche, Saskatchewan. I'm honored to be joining you all virtually today from Williams Treaty Territory in Huntsville, Ontario, and I will be moderating today's conversation. We're going to be talking about access to public health care for residents of Vancouver's downtown east side and the innovations that are enabling Indigenous cultural care. Today's town hall will be rebroadcast in Vancouver on Co-op Radio on Sunday, March 14th at 7 p.m., New Hulk Radio, Bella Coola on Wednesday, March 10th at 11 a.m., and check your local listing to hear the rebroadcast on CFNR Terrace. In today's evolving health landscape, access to high quality, compassionate healthcare, including support for mental health, is essential for underserved communities. It's also essential that care is provided in ways that respect cultural differences. For today's discussion, we're going to be joined by representatives from both the private and public sectors to shed light on how they're helping to make a positive impact on the health of Vancouver's downtown east side population, specifically within the Indigenous community. We are joined by representatives from the Kilala Lelum Urban Indigenous Health and Healing Cooperative and TELUS, who will be talking about Kilala Lelum's unique community healthcare model that bridges traditional Indigenous healing with modern medicine, the innovations being implemented to enhance culturally safe and trauma-informed primary care offerings, and the role of both the public and private sectors in driving positive change for much-needed healthcare in underserved communities. Before we go any further, I would like to introduce you all to Wendell Williams, Knowledge Keeper at Kilala Lelum, to open our virtual town hall in a good way. Thank you, Wendell.
Good morning. Thank you, Cassidy. Just want to say welcome to everybody joining us online, and for those that will be tuning in later as well. I just wanted to say a big Nigwech, Neoan, raising my hands to each of you in a good way for this work being done on these unceded territories of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, where I've been a resident living on these occupied lands since 1994. A little introduction about myself. My name is Anim Kimashkate Pashake Anane, which is Thunder Buffalo. I am Haudenosaunee from Six Nations and Anishinaabe from Giddi-Goonsby First Nation as well. I am a father of three beautiful children, and it's an honor to be here to be a representative of Kilala Lelum, among other organizations on the downtown east side helping the people. Primarily my work within Kilala Lelum is a knowledge keeper, bringing teachings, ceremony, and culture to the people on the downtown east side, whether it's drumming, protocols, and helping men's circles as well. One of the great initiatives coming up in partnership with Kilala Lelum, Sa'as and Indian Residential School Survivors is a brand new canoe for the downtown east side, which we're really excited for, which should be coming in about a month, I believe. So just welcome everybody in a good way. It's an honor to open in a good way. More importantly for me, because of these lands I'm connected to with my family, and especially my young daughter, being a young, strong Musqueam woman. So it's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendell, for your opening and land acknowledgement and introduction. I will now invite our additional panelists to introduce themselves, and we'll begin with Drew.
Yes, good morning. My name is Drew Kostanyuk. I'm a nurse practitioner on the Mobile Outreach Program here at Kilala Lelum. I'm of settler origin, Ukrainian ancestry. I grew up in Ontario on Anishinaabe, Huron, and Haudenosaunee territory. And I'm lucky enough to reside here in Coast Salish territories now with my family. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Next, we have Leah.
Good morning, everyone. Elsewhere. My name is Leah Walker, and I have the privilege of being executive director here at Kilala Lelum. I identify as Indigenous on my dad's side, English and Akatma, with kinship ties and responsibilities at Seabird Island, and Danish on my mom's side. And I live on Nook Lelum, which is Bowen Island, and I come here to work on the unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh to support the amazing work here at Kilala. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Leah. Finally, we are also joined by Nimi. Nimi, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Cassidy. My name is Nimi Kanji. I am the Director of Community Investment at TELUS, responsible for a number of our social purpose programs. I am speaking from Calgary today, the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region, including the Blackfoot Confederacy, Stoney Nakoda, and the Tsuut'ina Nations. And Calgary, of course, is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. I'm very pleased to be here and joining you all.
Thank you, Nimi. I also want to take a moment to thank our Facebook Live simulcasters at First Nations Drum, Co-op Radio, CFNR Radio, and Alberta Native News. Great. Well, thank you everyone for your introductions. We're going to jump right into our panel discussion, and I want to begin with a question for Drew. Over 1 year into the pandemic, we have seen its immense impact on our neighbors and our communities. In Vancouver, we've seen news reports and studies discussing the need for additional primary care and mental health support for underserved individuals and Indigenous communities living in Vancouver's downtown east side. To start us off, can you provide us with some insights into the current needs of underserved residents in the downtown east side and what challenges are being faced in these communities?
Sure. Well, the challenges and needs here are many of the same that have been here for many years. You know, a lot of people live in poverty. Housing is a huge issue. You know, healthy relationships with other social supports are a challenge. Ghettoization, racism, legacy of colonization, you know, are all things people here live with, you know. None of that has gone away. With the threat, you know, COVID's impact has, if anything, made people more isolated. You know, a lot of the supports that were here, have had to reduce services. You know, people are not able to get out and meet with their neighbors, as we all are, but a lot of people here have more limited resources, you know, and that really impacts everybody, as well as the stress, the anxiety of day-to-day worrying about COVID. You know, a lot of people's health is not great. A lot of people may have unmet needs regarding their health conditions, as well as finding healthy food and getting regular exercise, you know. So it's another layer on top of the stressors that people feel already.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping to understand a little bit about the unique work that Kilala Lelum has been doing in the community, and what makes Kilala Lelum's model of care different from a typical community or public clinic.
The biggest thing are our members, and that it's elder-led, that we have cultural programming and Indigenous medicines at the forefront of what we do. We have a staff and community that have hearts wide open and know that Indigenous medicines and knowledges provide a big part of what's needed, as well as all of the other things, the wraparound. So we're really fortunate. We have, not only is it elder-led and culturally robust cultural programming, we have social workers and we have nurses and we have counselors. We have food programs. We have a wraparound approach that looks at the whole person and to meet them where they're at.
Great, thank you for that. And I think it's a perfect transition into a question for Wendell. As the knowledge keeper at Kilala Lelum, you shared a little bit about your role in your introduction. Can you share a little bit more about that role, and how does your work of bringing culturally sensitive primary care to the downtown east side impact the communities Kilala Lelum works with?
Thank you for the question. Like most of us, whether it's knowledge keeper, elders, anybody that's in any society or organization, and Kilala Lelum, we bring what we have of life experience to the table in a sense. So a lot of the work that I've done in the past was working with corrections, ceremony, sweat lodges, traveling on canoe journeys, working with people in corrections as well, and then transitioning over onto the downtown east side and bringing all that knowledge. So speaking from the main office space here is us, an Indian Residential School Survivors Society. I'm also able to bring a host of other resources in a sense of cultural teachings, protocols, resources for the downtown east side residents, and in doing so, being in Kilala Lelum. So the work that I get to do at Kilala Lelum is in various roles. One of them is teaching drumming, protocols that entail with that of helping people. A lot of people, clients, because of residential school, and the impacts of that in regards to culture and ceremony, unfortunately lost a lot of those teachings or never had it in the first place. So I've been very fortunate to give what I've been given in my life and pass it forward to others that need that little help in a way. Been very fortunate to also help the Dudes Club that actually works at Kilala Lelum and supporting men on the downtown east side, whether it's their outreach or the men's talking circles on Mondays and online platforms that we actually just supported for those ones that are isolated at home too. And then speaking of that again, to culture would be the ceremony of the canoe. In combined effort with us, Indian Residential School Survivors and Kilala Lelum, to help those residents on the downtown east side and other partner organizations in uplifting those people in a form of wellness and taking care of them. And with the TELUS outreach van, last week, it was my first outing, and we went to one of the local parks, Strathcona Park, or Tent City now. It was disheartening, to see what was actually going on, but it was so accepting by the people that were there once that van showed up, and to go bring teaching and songs to the people, and to see people come out of their tents, just to come around the sacred fire, and to offer that safe opportunity of we're here to help, and here are the other workers if you want to reach out to them as well. So I think that's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. That's such important work. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And touching on that, I have a question for Leah. So I understand that Kilala Lelum is currently partnered with TELUS. How is this partnership enabling you to enhance Kilala Lelum's service offerings and bring better care to the communities that you serve?
Thanks for that question. And it's an unexpected partnership. Kilala Lelum has only been in existence for a couple of years, and it has been quite beautiful and surprising to see what we can do. We already know what we can do here in the clinic, and at the same time, it takes a lot of courage for people to come in through those doors. A lot of our community members have had really poor experiences with the healthcare system, with many of the systems around them, with the criminal justice system, with the social service system. So, and often, healthcare providers have been agents of harm. We just saw the report from Mary Topel Lafond about racism in the healthcare system. That exists, certainly. And so for people to come in through those doors, it's a big deal, and they do. And yet there are many that are housing insecure, that are have some physical or mental health challenges that don't come to us. And the van, our mobile medicine house, can go to them. And so that's been a real gift. We've been able to go to places like Strathcona, and yesterday it was Hives for Humanity. We've gone to the Vancouver Vandu and the Wish for the sexual health workers. There's places where we are offering not only medical support, the important medical support, but cultural support as well. So, and building relationships. So yes, it's been really wonderful.
That is so fascinating and such important work. That's really exciting. I didn't know that TELUS was so involved in the health space. And Nimi, I'm hoping that you can walk us through TELUS's commitments in the public health space and its work with Indigenous communities. Why is TELUS so passionate about investing in this area?
Yeah, honestly, Cassidy, is part of our social purpose. At TELUS, everything that we do is driven by our social purpose, which is really about using technology and our human compassion within our team to drive better outcomes for Canadians. And, given this focus, it was really natural for us to explore opportunities to innovate in the healthcare space. There's a number of people who aren't aware, but we've actually been on this journey to improve health outcomes for Canadians for the last 10 years. As an organization, we've invested over $3.2 billion with this goal in mind. And another little known fact is that TELUS is actually the largest health IT provider in Canada. All of this stems from the fact that we believe that in order for us to have a friendly future, all Canadians, regardless of socioeconomic status, their location, they should all have access to healthcare when and where they need it. And of course, individuals that are marginalized or homeless, they have so many additional barriers to accessing healthcare. And given our focus on transforming health outcomes for Canadians, we believe it's part of our responsibility to actually deliver better health outcomes, not only for Canadians in general, but specifically those that are marginalized and need that extra helping hand. And this is why we're so pleased to partner with Kilala Lelum, and bring this mobile health clinic to the downtown east side. It's powered by TELUS Health Technology. And I think what we love most about this partnership is that together with Kilala Lelum, we're able to offer this kind of hybrid model of care where we bring together, primary and mental health care alongside, the culturally safe and elder-led care that Drew and Leah have been talking about. And it's also, you ask about our focus on supporting Indigenous peoples and Indigenous communities. Really, this clinic and our partnership with Kilala Lelum demonstrates our commitment to supporting reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. And there's a number of, additional initiatives that TELUS designed to support Indigenous peoples. An example would be our investments in providing wireless and wireline connectivity to Indigenous communities across BC. We've invested over $25 million to help provide that important connectivity.
Great, thank you, Nimi. Can you tell us a little bit more about the TELUS Health for Good and those new innovative partnerships with Kilala Lelum?
Yeah, so Health for Good is part of what we call our Connecting for Good portfolio at TELUS, which is really a suite of programs that are aimed to bridge the digital divide and specifically support marginalized Canadians in particular. Health for Good itself was launched in 2014, and we've been expanding the program ever since. We launched 7 new clinics last year, and we've just recently announced 2 new clinics this year, one of which is obviously in partnership with Kilala Lelum. The program is backed by a $10 million commitment from TELUS. And with this program, we have mobile health clinics powered by TELUS Health, 13 of them across the country in 11 different cities, from Halifax all the way to Victoria. Really the program, as I mentioned, is intended to remove barriers for individuals facing homelessness, help them overcome the stigma. They may not feel comfortable, for instance, walking into a health clinic. So our goal with these mobile health clinics and the Health for Good program is to really bring healthcare to people when and where they need it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the program is made possible through innovative partnerships with communities in healthcare like Kilala Lelum. What's amazing about these partnerships is that together we're able to bring the clinic, the technology, including like the TELUS EMR, TELUS Wi-Fi, and the expert staff that Kilala Lelum provides to, conduct outreach and provide, primary mental health care, like examples, wound care, harm reduction services, and so much more. It's just an incredible program, and we're so pleased to partner with Wendell and Drew and Leah and Kilala Lelum.
Great, thank you. You shared a little bit about the impacts of the Health for Good program. Can you share a little bit more about the anticipated impacts of the Kilala Lelum mobile health clinic powered by TELUS Health?
Yeah. At a high level, I would say, and this is across all of our partnerships and clinics across the country, our goal is to support 30,000 patient interventions each year through our mobile clinics. To date, since the program has launched, we've supported over 50,000 patient visits across all of our partnerships. Last year, of course, with the pandemic, we worked with our partners to enable them to support COVID testing and assessment. So last year, we completed close to 13,000 COVID tests and assessments. That activity continues. You know, as we think about our partnership with Kilala, Lelum, and the downtown east side in particular, we know that, you know, there's over 2,200 individuals in this region that are experiencing homelessness. And, you know, sad reality is that the Indigenous peoples are overrepresented in those numbers. And so together with Kilala Lelum, you know, our hope is that we can better support the Indigenous peoples in this area that are in need by providing, you know, care when they need it in a way that is culturally informed. And, you know, ultimately our goal together is to promote wellness, health, and social stability and provide support to the individuals in this area.
Wow, that is fantastic. My next question, I guess, is for Drew then, to build on that. It's really clear that these services are so important for the downtown east side community. Can you provide us with some more insights onto how the Kilala Lelum mobile health clinic powered by TELUS Health will operate on a day-to-day basis?
So currently, the mobile outreach clinic is essentially a van that that has been outfitted as a medical clinic. We also contain numerous medicines and have made it much more welcoming of a space than some medical clinics, I would say. Leah mentioned some of the partnerships we've made. So we do go out to Strathcona Park, and we've partnered with their leadership there, and we serve the encampment residents weekly. We also go to Vandu, which is another of our community partners, and we see their members there. So these are all people who have huge barriers to attending regular medical visits, you know, and at the same time, they do have various health problems, including chronic health issues, mental health challenges, opiate and other type of substance dependence. So we attend to these clinics regularly on a set schedule. People come to trust us, you know, and will come to us with their concerns. And we do a lot of referrals to other community services, as well as back to our home clinic here, and provide whatever care is needed on the spot. Another part of our program is the targeted outreach, as we refer to it. So members of Kilala Lelum who are having real struggles with coming to clinic and have some set goals and needs, then we go out and see them where they're living, where they're at. Sometimes it means kind of trying to find them where they might be during the day, you know, or it's a bit of detective work sometimes, but following up on people who are in the community and poorly connected. And we've had quite a bit of success at both of our types of stops. You know, we've managed to reconnect some members back to their primary care providers here, and taken on some people strictly on an outreach basis. At the park, we've had a number of successes. Initially, when we first came to the park, we were alerted to a woman who was pregnant and disconnected from her maternity care provider, using substances actively, you know, and because we had built relationships with the people at the park, with the leadership and other support teams, we were able to build a trusting relationship with her and help stabilize her and connect her back to her other providers. She did end up having a healthy baby, and she is housed with her partner and the baby as of now. So that was quite an early success. That was really nice to see, you know. I don't know how many more minutes I have here, but
No,
I can
that's
give some more
great.
examples. Yeah. Okay.
I guess I want to ask Wendell a little bit about something that you just touched on. It's the importance of relationship building. How does the mobile clinic help Kilala Lelum's work in building relationships with the community?
One of the first things was in respect to the vehicle or the medicine house on wheels, was protocols. And a big part of that was to make sure it was blessed in a good way. And I believe it was Elder Bruce and Elder Doris Fox that had done that primary work of blessing that vehicle, so it can actually go out into the community and do that healthy work. So Kilala Lelum is very adamant about being proactive in regards to honoring these unceded territories and the protocols that are needed in respect to what's going on in how we help the people on the downtown east side and the outreaching areas. But with the vehicle, one of the first things I had noticed was the traditional medicines that were in there with the Western medicine. If you see on the outside of the vehicle, the traditional imagery as well, which can create a sense of calm for a lot of people. It's not in your face, in a sense, when you show up to somewhere. So it puts people at ease where they feel safe. And that little bit is enough to open somebody's heart to actually be accepting of that help that's being provided for them in the community in that way too. So what I've seen just personally, just with that one outreach that I've been fortunate to attend, it's very accepting from the community already, from what I've witnessed. And I've understood that other elders have already made that journey out into the community within Kilala Lelum to offer support. And it's an ongoing thing too. So with this vehicle, beyond my support that'll come out every second week or something like that, like I said, we'll also touch on the possibility of this vehicle supporting in other ways. Within respect to this canoe and showing up at gatherings. When we do protocol work of blessing it, naming it, putting it in the water for the first time, as I understand, this van would actually possibly follow as well if it traveled on journeys, showed up at gatherings and functions where it can bring more positive awareness of what we're able to provide for the community in that good way. Whether this van can tow the canoe, we'll see about that. It's a 36-foot canoe, so it's pretty big in that respect. But I just love how people are so enamored by it as well so far. And I look forward to seeing more of that work being done. I'm really grateful for Drew and for all the staff that go out in that vehicle. And I look forward to witnessing and hearing more stories about that too, in how we provide services and support in a loving way. Yeah.
Thanks, Wendell. I don't know if Cassidy has just gone off or what. I'm sure she'll join us, maybe her connection.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can keep going on here because I can kind of see the next question anyways. In respect to Kilala Lelum and how they started after making their own new journey, they came into Saast. Saast is a location on the downtown east side, 44 East Cordova, that was created after the National Inquiry for the Murdered and Missing Women. But in doing so, we had to partner with other organizations, like most nonprofits, in order to keep alive, in a sense, to provide those services. And in doing so, Urban Indigenous Healing Cooperative was invited into our space. And that's how our family began, to be reciprocal to each other in that way, with SAAS, Indian Residential School Survivors, Kilala Lelum, PFNW, and many others as well. And in doing so, Kilala Lelum space was finally opened. I believe it's been a couple of years now as well, and was given that name by the local nations, I believe by Shane Point as well. Kilala Lelum, for those that don't know, is a Hunkaminam expression of word meaning butterfly house, in respect to how we help others heal and move forward. So the relational portion of culture and ceremony and teachings and elders and knowledge keepers can be the very thing that's needed in respect to providing safe place in conversation around a table, around people that have been marginalized and traumatized, so much so that a simple beading workshop or a drum workshop can open a person's heart and be accepting others that are here to help me as well, nurses, doctors, outreach, social workers, in respect to that. And I think that Western medicine, along with Indigenous teachings, culture, ceremony, go hand in hand in what Kilala Lelum is doing being proactive and innovative, and especially with systemic racism highly noted, not just in BC, in Canada, or across Turtle Island, but that there is an issue and a problem. And I've always believed in what Kilala Lelum has been offering to the community in a proactive way, because it's needed, in how to help people, not just Indigenous people, but all people, because there's a local word, not sama, one heart, one mind, we're in all this together in that respect too. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Wendell.
You're welcome.
Such important work. And Leah, why are these collaborations between the public and private sectors, like the one with TELUS and Kilala Lelum, so important in improving the public health situation?
Well, quite simply, we can't do it alone. All of this work belongs to all of us. It's not just Indigenous communities that that are bearing the brunt of the health inequities in this country. We all need to address it. And how do we do that? We do it all together. So I guess that's the reason why that we're doing this together. It can't belong in just one sphere. We know that health and wellness is not just physical body. We know it's mental and spiritual and emotional. We know that the social determinants of health, what happens in the environment affects our health. What happens with employment or education, all of that affects our health and well-being. So it needs to be multifaceted, and we need to innovate, because the old ways of doing things haven't worked. We need to figure out how to do this to change the system so there's more equity. So I think it's important at all.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Nimi, what more can we expect from TELUS and its social purpose initiatives this year?
Well, we're always looking for different ways to leverage our technology and our resources at TELUS to give back and use our technology for good. Earlier, I talked about Health for Good being part of our Connecting for Good portfolio of programs. And this year, we certainly intend to support even more Canadians through some of those programs, be it Health for Good or Internet for Good and Mobility for Good, which are two programs that are really intended to bridge the digital divide and help support in-need Canadians with access to technology. So certainly looking to support more in-need families, in-need individuals that are living with disabilities, seniors that are isolated and low income, as an example. So continuing to do the work that we're doing and supporting Canadians with Connecting for Good. From a Health for Good perspective, currently we are exploring potentially an additional expansion opportunity to increase the breadth and the reach of our program. So that's on the radar. And I would say, the other thing that is really important to mention is recently we just announced our investment in the Raven Indigenous Impact Capital Fund. And through our investment in this fund, we also look forward to supporting Indigenous entrepreneurs with their social impact initiatives. So certainly a lot is coming down the pipe, and we're excited to continue on our social capitalism journey.
Great, and I'm excited to learn more about it and see all the good work that you're doing. And my final question is for all of you. We've heard a lot about how you're all incorporating culturally specific healthcare into a care model. And I want to know what you think. How can other organizations incorporate culturally specific healthcare into their care models? And what are you hoping to see in the coming year? And I guess we'll start with Drew.
Thank you. Yeah, well, from my perspective as a nurse and part of the healthcare system, I would certainly like to see more support for Indigenous students in healthcare fields. Real nurturing and opportunities, and leading to more hiring and more staff that are Indigenous. Certainly, we have Indigenous staff here, but really. If the nurse practitioner on the mop van, at Kilala Lelum was Indigenous, I think that would be probably even more beneficial to the community. And that's what I would like to see.
Thank you, Drew. How about you, Leah?
Well, I just want to answer Drew for a second by saying it's really beautiful having you in the van. And I think there is work for allies. We certainly don't need to leave that work all to Indigenous people. I think it would be really hard sometimes for, Indigenous folk. Many of their relatives are here. So I think sometimes working in your own community, it's not always easy. And yet, there are many beautiful things happening here. So, and part of the thing, I think, if anyone were to start something like this for themselves, I believe that it all starts with the elders and knowledge keepers. They really help us. They hold us up. They hold our members up and bring the best out in the members. And they also support all of us in providing care and keeping us well, because you have to be in it for the long game. And because we're in these dual pandemics right now with the COVID epidemic as well as the overdose crisis, it's really, you lose people, and that's heartbreaking. And so in order to be able to do this work and to understand, trauma informed, violence informed, understanding the violence of the systems, understanding all of that is really critical. And having the support of elders and knowledge keepers. And then we're very lucky. We have a cooperative model. So what that means is we provide spaces, hopefully, so everyone has a voice to form what we need to do. So I guess the final thing is, what do I want for the future? I can't wait for that canoe. I can't wait for us to launch that canoe, be giving that opportunity for our members and others in the downtown east side to have access to the water, is beautiful. Like, it's just right there. And sometimes it's difficult to see when you're surrounded by all of this other thing. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have more members attached to us and our clinic, to know that they are loved and cared for, just to have that, to make a difference in their lives, to have improved health outcomes. And I'm looking forward to just deeper partnerships with not only SAST, but other organizations here. There are many people that are trying to do good work, and we're not all always connected. So finding ways to connect further so that we are seeing all of the beautiful, resilient people still here next year.
Thank you, Leah. And Wendell, what are you hoping to see in the coming year?
Quite a bit, actually. A lot of hopefulness in my heart, a lot of prayers that always go forward. In respect to Kilala Lelum, just that forward movement of goodness, in respect of how it's been done from inception to where we're at now, and being that proactive model for other organizations and healthcare systems, not just in BC, but across Canada as well. That innovation of culture, ceremony, elders, knowledge keepers, teachings, it's paramount in all the work that's going to be done for any society, organization, government body, healthcare, is to be mindful of where we are. I don't know how it is so much back east anymore, but in respect to out here, that's one of the first things we do is acknowledge the land, acknowledge the nation's territories that we're on. And that simple form of respect is the starting point for anybody, no matter where we are. And we build upon that. You hear a lot of talk of reconciliation in moving forward. Reconciliation doesn't happen without action as well. You can talk and talk and talk, but without that action, like Kilala Lelum doing in that proactive way, nothing will come of it. So I think Kilala Lelum is a good model for others, to fashion the work that they're going to be doing as well in the future too, and build upon it, expand upon it if they want, and that's what I love about Kilala Lelum, because it's not just like, one vision, it's a combined effort of everybody bringing all that magic that we carry inside together for the people in that good way. And it's just about the people. It's never about us. It's always about giving back. And part of that culture and ceremony and teachings is that we have to be mindful of ourselves of doing this work, because it can become very heavy. And that's what the elders are there for, knowledge keepers, to take care of the staff of Kilala Lelum, so we're able to support the community still in that good way too. Wellness in that good way too. So
Thank you. And Nimi, how about you?
Well, I'm just going to build off of some of the comments that Wendell and Leah have made. Wendell talked about, using the Kilala model as, a bit of an example of a positive way forward. And Leah talked about the importance of kind of collaboration and partnership between the private and public sectors. And I would say that, like what I'm hopeful for in the upcoming year, given all of the challenges that we're dealing with, as Canada, but also on a global basis, is that this partnership between TELUS and Kilala is used as inspiration for other organizations and companies to take action and find ways for them to meaningfully give back to their communities, and to partner and collaborate with other organizations, because I do think that there's a ton of opportunity for private sector to use their capabilities and their resources for good. And that's really the core of what TELUS does. We put social purpose at the core of everything that we do, and I'm just really hopeful that this inspires other organizations to come together to help address some of our societal challenges that we're all collectively dealing with.
Yeah, it's certainly been inspiring, everything that everyone has had to say today, and it's been an excellent conversation. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. I would now like to invite Wendell to close our conversation today and send us off in a good way. Wendell, are you able to do that for us?
Just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, raising my hands to you in a good way for all this work that was being done, for the work that was on the floor, for Cassidy for leading this discussion, for those that have tuned in, or like I said, that will be tuning in as well, to learn a little bit more, to grow a little bit more, and especially for this work being acknowledged, being done on unceded territories of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. I was going to close with a prayer, but I think I'm going to close with a song. Just a quick song, as it won't be the whole song, but it's important to honor, where we are. So this song is a prayer song originally, but most people know it as the Coast Salish anthem. This is Chief Dan George's family song, and the George family connected to Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish, and obviously some ties to Musqueam. So. Oh, Elo, Elo, oh, Elo, all my relations.
Thank you so much, Wendell. And thank you so much to all of our panelists today for the insightful discussion. Thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing in your communities. Thank you to Kilala Lelum for the commitments and dedication in bettering the communities that you're serving in Vancouver's downtown east side and making this care model possible to improve healthcare offerings for Indigenous and non-Indigenous residents. I also want to thank TELUS for your continued support and their investments in this innovative healthcare offering with the Health for Good program and mobile health clinics across the country. And finally, I want to say a thank you to our Indigenous media partners supporting today's town hall. And that includes First Nations Drum, Co-op Radio, CFNR Radio Network, Hasilsan Newspaper, New Hulk Radio, and Alberta Native News. Have a great day, everyone.